So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Eazy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homie Matt and I. Hope you enjoyed listening to us share our first top 10 lists of 2023, the TV shows, and that if you miss any of the shows that we shared, you got a chance to maybe start some of them up. And let us know what you think about them. So now for episode 127 of Eazy Conversations. I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. So what's up to the people?
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great day right now. I'm super pumped for today's episode because of our guest that we always bring for this top 10 list. Every episode we've done with him that has been great. Eric, why don't you introduce our guest to everybody?
Yeah, so for the third time now, bringing back a recurring guest, fan favorite, hip-hop aficionado who knows, like I said, all things rap and collecting of said genres, memorabilia. So for the third time on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, reintroducing the homie, Hip Hop Fiend 85, aka Brandon. So what's up to the people?
Thank you very much for having me again. It's one thing I always look forward to. You know, January, I always start my list again for the next year. So I really appreciate it.
Pretty much, same here. So yeah, we're super excited to have you, man. You all know what the deal is. So hip hop albums of 2023. We're gonna do the usual snake order of sharing our lists. Before we get into that, though, Brandon, I'll throw it over to you first, and then we'll all go around to just talk about what was the year of 2023 for hip hop and the list making process. So, how was it like for you, Brandon, from January 2023 all the way to the end of December of last year?
I found it was it really had a slow start, and maybe because of it being the 50th year of hip hop, there was all these expectations of like legends coming back and albums, and but I really found like it took a while before something really hit. Like Logic always comes out the gate first, but after that, it slowed down. And then when I started putting together this list, I was like, man, there's so much good music by the end of the year. it was really difficult to put it together. I think we said in the chat I had about like 15 or 16 that deserved to be in the top 10. So
yeah. Matt, how was it like for you? And what were your thoughts on the year?
A bit like Brandon, like I didn't even worry about making my list the first 6 months of the year because I'm like, oh, there's nothing really that catches my attention. Like I feel like I could have I steadily kept up with the releases and rated them, but near the end I was flooded with stuff, and I could have easily made a top like 15 or 20 guys and been comfortable with it. There was a lot of good stuff at the end, and it was hard. I even changed the pick last minute today, so my bottom five was really hard to do actually because of the strength of the last quarter of the year. So yeah, it was difficult. What about you, Eric?
Yeah, super difficult for me too, honestly. And I'll just preface by saying that this year's probably the year I listened to the least amount of rap, in that while, like you, Matt, and I'm sure Brandon as well, kept up with the releases every single week and did listen to a great number of albums. Like at the end of the year, I do my count of how many I listen to every year. I listened to 81 rap albums this year. Wow. So that's by no means not a lot of hip hop, but there weren't many that were like really sticking with me where I'd be listening to them for months or at least weeks to months in a row, nonstop, knowing like this is making the list at the end of the year. It'd be like I really enjoy this album, maybe listen to it 1 to 3, 4 times, and then kind of move on. And the genre I actually listened to the most this year was movie soundtracks, because for me it's tough to, the thing is it's tough for me to do my work that I work at home. Like I can't really listen to rap while I work as I get deconcentrated. So having that just like ambient soundtrack in the background is much smoother for me to just help me focus kind of. But like you guys, in December I've just been grinding, going back over the releases, and there are actually so many amazing albums that dropped last year. So I feel like I didn't really do hip hop its service by listening to these albums the amount that I should have. But it was really fun making a list and like kind of rediscovering some of these albums. So all that being said, great year for rap yet again. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I am for the order this year. I re-listened to our last few episodes. I wanted to switch up the order a little bit. Brandon, we've given you the honor of just kicking the list off both times. I think we'll push you to the back. Save the best for last. You'll have the third pick. We'll go Matt 2, and I'll kick us off. Actually, the one who's kind of been critical of rap coming into this year, not listening to it as much as I should have. So Good to get us going here?
Oh yeah, fire away.
Yeah.
All right. So, first pick. So, my number 10 album of 2023 was one that really falls into the category that I described, where it dropped. I loved it, listened to it a few times, but then fell off. And up until last week, wasn't even considering having it in my top 10 just because of how little I listened to it. But I threw this one on like a good 5 times in the last week. Absolutely can't have it off. I'm pretty sure it'll be on either one of your, if not both your lists. So it'd be the third installment in the Magic album series. So Magic 3 by Nas and Hit Boy. That's my number 10 pick.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead first, Brandon.
Well, I have to represent with the shirt.
Yeah.
Nice.
The Nas shirt. Yeah, it's going to be on my list too. I loved it. I love that it ended the chapter too. It was one of those things where now it like became like the anticipation. Is there ever going to be another one? Is there this? So I think it's like 3 albums for Magic, 3 albums for King's Disease. So it's just like a perfect conclusion. And I loved it. I thought it was like an incredible, incredible album. And the more I listened to it, the more it grew on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just talk about it now too. I thought it was incredible too. I like the 2 songs based on true events and based on true events part 2, like banger back to back. No Tears was great. Superhero Status, like it was top to bottom a great album. No misses, quick. So yeah, good pick, Eric.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, actually, I just wanted to quickly talk about it. I just introduced the album. I actually didn't say anything about it. But I'll just quickly go, like, same with you. Based on True Events Part 2 is straight up listening to a movie in real time with that beat, too. Nas is one of the only artists in my books who can paint that picture and that cinematography vividly over a beat like that as well, where you're clearly visualizing what's happening based on his spoken word poetry. Just unbelievable. And it kicks off with a banger. I love Fever, Tisk, Superhero Stat. I could pretty much list off every song on this album. For the most part, I absolutely love them. And the feature with Lil Wayne is great as well. Like, I'm a big Lil Wayne guy. So I love to see another legend on the only feature on that album. And just the chemistry with Hit Boy and Nas is something that we never really knew we needed as much as we did, starting with the first King's Disease. And I wonder if it's the end with them. Like you said, Brandon, there's the KD trilogy's over, Magic trilogy's over. Are they going to run it back for a third trio now? I wouldn't be opposed to more. So Magic 3, it came pretty quickly right after Magic 2 as well, which, I mean, not to give away picks, but I guess I will. Magic 2, not on my list, but I really, and I was kind of like, I enjoyed Magic 2, but I was like, all right, like, am I kind of sick of these guys dropping albums together, which might be crazy to say, but then Magic 3 I reconvinced me, nope, I'm not sick of them, so I keep it coming. Amazing album. So that's my first pick of the day.
Nice.
Starting off the list amazingly, Eric. My number 10 is Glorious Game by Black Thought and Al Michaels Affair.
Nice.
I really liked Glorious Game. To me, it's not as like hyper and fast paced like the other albums on my list. It was like more like chill listening in terms of like the flow wasn't too fast. But I love Black Thought, and I thought this album I kept re-listening to throughout the year, and I really like it. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this track list right now, and like there are no skips for me. Quick album. This is the theme of my list this year, not long albums, super like easy to listen to. So Glorious Game kicking off with that one.
Nice. Yeah, it's another one that's going to be on my list too later on, and I think it just further shows like how incredible Black Thought is. And I'll make the point now is that I found like last year it was like nothing but praise for Black Thought, and this year like you didn't hear much about it, which I found it was like really overlooked as an album, and it's almost like with how his career has always been. Everybody knows he's great, but they just kind of forget about him. And this year, I mean, he had that album. He dropped that hip hop dedication at the Grammys, which was incredible, which he earned a nomination for. And he released a book, which is like one of the favorite books I've read. But yeah, just an incredible album. And the collaboration with L's Michaels Affairs was just dope.
Yeah, another Matt, great album to start off your list as well. Just from the top, like Grateful, just a banger of a beat to open it up, and then Black
Yeah,
Thought just does what he does throughout the whole project with like his unmatched lyricism and like the words that he's using, his vocabulary. The guy probably just reads a dictionary and thesaurus for fun. Like that's like light reading for him. He just likes to take that all in and like what other multi-syllable words can he throw into a verse?
yeah,
It's actually insane how he just
Yeah.
constructs his verses together. Love the album.
oh yeah,
Again, it's another one that dropped, listened to it a bunch, then stopped, and then rediscovered this last week. So really nice to re-get that one into the fold for sure. So Black Thought. I will say though, if I had to choose between this one and Cheat Codes, I preferred last year's. I think because of the perhaps like the features as well that he had on there, and the vibe is a little more sinister. I found like this was a little more
yeah.
like luxury rap, which I love as well. But yeah, no, Black Thought just dropping bangers left and right. I hope he drops another album this year with another producer that like L. Michaels Affair, Danger Mouse, maybe only know by name but not familiar with. So if he keeps introducing us to these other legendary producers, I'm all ears. I always tune into a Black Thought album, so it's a great pick.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Nice. So I'll go with my first one, number 10. And it's going to be, I don't know, it's a theme throughout this year I found was rappers working solely with one producer,
Yep.
which I love. I always love that.
Same.
So I'm going to go with Eazy and Ono, Heavy Vibrato.
Oh.
Incredible album. Eazy is originally from Slum Village. They're both out of Detroit. So he didn't start, like Slum Village started before him and then he ended up joining them after, I think with the Detroit Deli album. So he's just an incredible MC. And Oh No, you guys might know, is Madlib's brother, who's also
Did not know.
just an amazing producer. He has a group with Alchemist. He has a group with Madlib. So to get these two like legendary producers together, producer rapper together, was just incredible. Sonically, as soon as the album starts, it starts with a 30-second instrumental, and it just like blows my mind away. Each song almost has either it tapers off with the instrumental or it begins with it. So it really is like a true collaboration of producer and MC. Yeah, if you haven't heard it, there's like even like Trick Dice. It's just pure hip hop, like dark, sinister beat. Elzai lyrically just one of the greatest. You also get like features with Guilty Simpson, another underground Detroit MC. They have a song, Radio International Programming, which is basically turning the table on radio and blaming them for the state of hip hop today, how it's gotten stale. So I really thought that was really cool. He has another song, Bishop, where he takes it in the view of Bishop from Juice. So he's rapping and through his eyes. Yeah, it's just front to back. It's just a banger of an album. A little bit more underground, but definitely need to check it out.
Okay. Never heard of any of these artists, to be honest, but love
me neither.
discovering, love the discovery, right? So I just downloaded it. We'll give this a spin for sure. But yeah, I can't say too much on it myself. The one thing I will say, though, to your point about one producer albums, like collaboration albums that have an MC and a producer, a few rappers, and then one producer, I absolutely love as well, just for the cohesive vibe of the project. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
You'll see that's a pretty similar theme with me as well. For most years, honestly, like I always, when I break down my album listening as well, I have solo artists or groups, and then collab albums is my second tier. And it's close to like a 50-50 split for how many collab albums I listened to this year. Like those are some of my favorite albums, and I love when artists do that. Like Magic 3, for example. Like so far, all of ours have been single producer albums. So
That's right.
Interesting facts right there.
Like you, Eric, I wrote this down because I'm gonna listen to it. I have not listened to this Brandon, nor do I know the artist. So awesome.
Definitely working. And Elzai is a guy who he's always flew kind of under the radar, but every year he drops an album that either should be or could be like in the top 10. Yeah, if you enjoy it, go through the discography. He's just incredible.
What do you got for number 9, though? I'm curious now.
That's right. Back to me, the snake. Okay, so number 9, I'm gonna go with Cesar Face.
Oh,
Cesar, Cesar Artificial Intelligence. I was working, practicing that today. So as many as you guys, if you guys know, it's basically a super group. You got Inspector Deck from Wu-Tang, and then Seven Ellis and Historic, who's just incredible. It's this album. I was a little worried about it because it's their first major label release. I think they're on Virgin Music now. But that being said, as soon as you press play on it, you know you're getting that Cesar Face comic book superhero album. This is actually probably one of my favorite ones from them. You know, there's a song on there, Mama's Basement, which I think a lot of people could relate to. It's basically talking about how he left his comics in his mom's basement. He's got to go get them back. You know, as once you move out, you know, you end up leaving a lot of nostalgic stuff in your parents' house. So I just love that whole topic of that. I kept going back to that song. Another great one was with Logic on Gatecrasher, where if you guys remember his alter ego, Doc D. So you have Doc D, Logic, and then each member, Cesar, Inspector Deck, and Esoteric, basically battling each other in the whole song, which was really pretty dope. And once again, with the superhero theme. Cool Keith is on 2 tracks, which is, he's a character within himself. I could see like a future collaboration with them, like they've done with Doom or Ghostface. I just loved it. I loved the album. It was a fun album. It was like a really fun listen. It wasn't serious. They never take themselves seriously. Marvel at that. You know, every rapper has like an alphabet themed rap song, but I like the twist on how he used it to like mention each Marvel hero or villain throughout it. So yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed it.
I didn't listen to this album actually. I had no idea it'd come out, which my fault for not doing like deep digging in my homework, I guess. So yeah, I haven't listened to it, and I will now. Eric?
Yeah, I did see it honestly, and I was planning on listening to it. I actually have been aware of their music for a while, since like 2015, which they dropped their second album, Every Hero Needs a Villain. Funnily enough, named one of our episodes based on that album title. We have an episode called Every Hero Needs a Villain. But yeah, so I have been a fan of them for a while. I haven't listened to all their releases consistently, but they're dope. And what I love about them is like you said, the Marvel references that they make, like it's right up my alley. And like Star Wars, like a lot of like pop culture references that are really up my wheelhouse. So in my wheelhouse, but I'm a big fan. But no, didn't get to check this one out, so I'll add that to the list as well. And just the look of their album covers are really cool, like the comic book style. I think it's sick. The album with the Ghostface too. I listened to that one a lot in 2019. So that was a great album.
Yeah, that was an incredible one.
Yeah, just how it starts off like The Ring. Yeah, no, it's a great album. But no, great pick.
All right, I guess it's me. I'm gonna go with my number 9, which I'm kicking myself now. It's like 2 picks for you, Brian, I haven't listened to. But anyways, we'll move on. My number 9 is Art of Words by 38 Special and Graph.
Nice.
Another super quick album. I just listened to it yesterday, and I'm like, hey, it's got to go on my list. Maybe I should have listened to it more, because this album's fucking amazing. I love all the features, the Conway song, Bun B, Stovecock Cooks, Dave East. Like, there's some really banger songs here, and it flows just like one song follows each other beautifully. Again, not a super excitable album where it's like angry, and like more chill, like relaxing for me to listen to basically. And it's only 10 songs, I believe. So yeah, Art of Words had to make my list. Squeezed it in at the end actually.
Nice.
But yeah, loved it. What do you guys think?
Nice. Well, you got me on that one. I actually didn't check it out. So I gotta write it down.
Let's go. Great album, Matt. This one that I just discovered out of nowhere this year, like 38 Special, I've been a fan of for a little bit now. And I was just searching him in Apple Music, and I saw that he had this album with this guy, Graph, who I've never heard of in my life before. So I'm like, all right, I'll go in for 38 Special. And then I'm listening to the first few songs, and 38 is nowhere to be found. So come to find out that he's also a producer. He's the one who made all the instrumentals on this album. He's not actually rapping on here. And the beats are incredible too. He's a dual threat, this guy. And this Graf guy as well just has a great presence on the mic, solid voice. His wordplay was dope. I'm just a fan of pretty much everything that he had to bring to the table. A couple of catchy songs on there too. Some trap, storytelling. And like you said, 10 songs, 33 minutes. Very quick. And a lot of features too that kind of keep things interesting as well. Like you just listed them all. So, no, I'm a big fan of this album, Art of Words. Great pick, Matt.
Thanks.
Good stuff. So my number 9 is actually the first album that dropped this year that I was really into, and it came out in March. And I had been looking forward to this one for a while. I might have mentioned it in our last episode where I was looking forward to this artist dropping an album because I knew he was doing something in 2023. So it'd actually be another collab album called Scaring the Hose by JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown.
Oh, nice pick.
So well, first of all, Danny Brown I've known of for a while. He doesn't drop albums regularly, like every 3 years or so, 3-4 years even at that. And to me, they all hit. They're very weird. He has a very unique voice, right? Like a high pitch voice, very weird rapping style. But then he can mix in with like deep voice, cadence as well, good wordplay, kind of chaotic and chaotic, I'd say is a good way to describe Danny Brown. And
Perfect,
someone who matches him kind of beat for beat in that is JPEG Mafia, who I think was really underground up until a few years ago. He kind of gained some fame with his 2021 album, which is when I found out about him. And since then, I've always kind of looked out for when this guy drops music. His style is like weird, kind of electronic rap. He like uses computer sounds in there to make his own beats. Like he makes his own beats as well. So he's the one who produced the entire album. And these two are kind of a match made in heaven in that they're a strange pair, but they complement each other really well. And this one flows some of the weirdest production you'll hear on a 2023 album, but for me it just hits. And there's some bangers on there, some fast-paced rapping, trading bars, good wordplay. Very, very good album. Did not disappoint based on I had high expectations going into it. But the reason it's ranked a little lower for me is that it's not one that I always ran back to too much throughout the year. But every time I listen to it, I'm like, this is an amazing album. I have to have it on my list. So Scaring the Hose, JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown, number 9 pick. And this is music that would scare the hose. Like that's why it's called that. They know what they are. So yeah. Have you guys checked this one out?
Yeah, I checked it out when it dropped, and I'm not familiar with JPEG Mafia at all, and it just completely. I checked it out for Danny Brown, and it shocked me how well of an album it was. It's actually one I overlooked. I listened to it a few times when it dropped, and I just never got back to it. So yeah, I'm actually pretty excited. I got to go check it out again, but I remember loving it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it too. It was in contention for my top 10, but what you described, Eric, the weirdness, the chaoticness, the electronic vibe, that's what kept it off my list, unfortunately. Okay. But I've maybe on further listens, but I do like it. It was just too strange for me. I wasn't used to that. It took me out of my comfort zone for my rap listening. So I was like, oh no, I can't include it on my list. It wouldn't be truthful to me. So, but yeah, good pick. No,
that's totally fair. It's definitely acquired taste. I feel like I'd been familiarized with both Danny Brown especially, and then JPEG Mafia. I had listened to his albums that he dropped in years in a row from 2021 on. So I got used to him. So I would recommend going back and listen to a few of his old albums. He's got some good stuff. But again, it is weird though, so maybe not for everybody. Totally fair. Number 8, latest release of the year that made my list. Might not surprise anybody when you hear the names I'm about to rattle off, but had to have it on my list. So it'd be Hall & Nash 2 by Westside Gun, Conway the Machine, and legendary producer The Alchemist. That's my number 8 pick of the year. This dropped unexpectedly December 29th of last year. So I'm going into it all right, I won't have had much time to sit on this album. Is it realistic or is it forced for me to throw this on my top 10 of all year when I've had time to digest these albums and listen to them multiple times? Well, I did listen to this one quite a few times to make sure that it merited a spot for me, and it definitely does. It's exactly what I seek out in rap. Just, well, it checks a lot of boxes, I'll say. Like, good, amazing production, first of all, great bars, and what I love in rap is when two artists kind of go back and forth trading bars, like 2 or 4 lines, and then the other one goes in, then they go back and forth like that. That's pretty much all you get on this album between Westside and Conway at the peak of their rapping abilities. Like Conway, this was also an album that was recorded for the most part in 2016, so it's not new music by any means to maybe die-hard Griselda fans, which I've only recently become. Like, I started listening to these guys in like 2019, 2020, so I hadn't heard these old songs, and a lot of them have been remixed and mastered and whatever, but for me it all hit start to finish. Very short album. I think it's like 9 or 10 songs. Only, well, Schoolboy Q is the only feature I can remember off the top, which I love that song with them. And yeah, it did it for me. Big fan. I hope these guys do another album together. Where Westside has said like he only likes to do that kind of rapping, trading bars with Conway. And recently, Stove God Cooks has also become that guy that he's comfortable going back and forth with like that. But there's something about Conway and Westside together just does it for me. And like I said, Alchemist honestly becoming one of my favorite, if not favorite, producers of all time at the rate that this guy's just dropping legendary albums year in, year out. I think it's going to be like 4 years in a row this guy makes my top 10 hip-hop albums list. Amazing producer. So, would recommend. I think it's a fantastic album.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. It was one that was, like you said, it was shocking when it dropped. I tried to get a copy of it in some format. They all sold out in 2 seconds. But the good news is, too, that, I didn't include on the list because I feel I have to sit with it more. And Alchemist did say they're getting back into the studio to create an official Hall & Nash.
Nice.
So with all brand new music. So that's another one that very well could end up next year's list. But yeah, just an incredible album. And I look forward to like just re-listening to it all this year.
And my thoughts on the album is, honestly, I'm kicking myself. I did not even listen to it once, Eric. I saw it drop. I think I dismissed it instantly because it was like the holidays and grinding the previous albums that came out. And I saw it. I'm like, probably won't make my list. I'm not listening to it, which was a foolish mistake. So good job. Thanks for having it on your list, Eric. Now I wrote it down. I'm writing all your picks down, so perfect. My number 8 is an album that got better and better every time I listened to it. And I love the theme of the album. Anyways, it's Director's Cut 4 by Ransom and Nicholas Craven. Love that all the tracks are like most of the movies or shows, and the theme, like the vibe of the album was perfect for me, especially doing my workouts. This was my go-to album. I don't know, I just like the lyrics, Ransom's flow. Eric, you got me like listening to more. I know you had you mentioned him last year when you were doing the top 10, like Ransom, Rome Streets. These were names I wasn't familiar with, so I had to check out his album. Loved it. So that's Director's Cut 4. I got to check out his catalog now because I really like this one. Did you guys listen to it?
I completely slept on that one. I don't even think I knew it dropped. We're 2 for 2 now, Matt.
Just stumping him. So I was aware of this album, but me too did not check it out. I regret it big time. I'm super happy to see it on your list. Ransom's a beast, man. Like the guy his flow and I love the delivery of his lines and his voice too. His voice super cool, cool, cold. He's like a cold-blooded assassin on the mic. So no, big fan of Ransom, but did not check that one out. And Nicholas Craven, just shout out to him. He's a Canadian producer from Montreal, I'm pretty sure. And he's done an album with Boldy James. And they have another one dropping, so at the time of recording this Friday, so it'll be out by the time this episode's out, called The Penalty of Leadership. Definitely check that out. It's not out yet, but I'm sure it's going to be great stuff. So,
yeah. That's crazy. Nicholas, you know the album he did with them before?
Yep, Fair Exchange, No Robbery. Love that album.
Fair Exchange. Yeah, I'm completely sleeping on it. I got to do some homework.
Great pick, Matt. Love to see that.
Thanks.
Nice. All right, so I'll go to my number 8. Another legend that I'm happy made his way back to the mic again. AZ, Truth Be Told. Um, just he came out with Nas, Life's a Bitch, just completely only feature on that album, killed it, and since then he's quietly built like one of the best discographies in hip hop. It's so deep, this catalog, and he's recently had a resurgence. His last one, Do or Die 2, came out last year or 2 years ago. It was pretty good, but for this one, Truth Be Told, he hooked up with Buck Wild, producer Buck Wild from DITC. So he has that great New York gritty sound. Just reintroduction, the first song just comes out hard. It's an energetic beat. He has more of a monotone flow, so he gave him a lot of energetic beats, and his lyricism just completely kills it. One of the greats. I swear there's a Bob Marley sample in there somewhere, buried deep in there, because it just hits you. The melody hits you, and he goes through the whole history of hip hop through it, while giving love to all the legends, which just worked out perfect with the year. Pharaoh Monch is on it. He's featured on the album. Fat Joe, who came into the game through DITC. So that was great to see him hook up with Buck Wild and kind of get his grimy flow back, which is really, really good. And it's a short album. It's another one. I think it's 10 tracks too. It's a short, sweet album, and I just loved it. I loved how he went through his career. He's kind of like giving himself his flowers, which is well deserved.
I did not check this out, I'll admit it. I remember you telling me about this artist, Brandon, like when we used to work in the same building, and how he's super underrated and like slept on, and I didn't check it out. Eric?
No, AZ, really unfamiliar with his music, honestly. Like, I really know him, like you said, from like Life's a Bitch by Nas. That's honestly pretty much it. I think I did check out one of his albums back in a few years ago based on your recommendation, Brandon. I think I thought it was solid, but it's just someone I don't really know well, so unfamiliar with, and can't speak on too much. So maybe got to just run it back and check. I'll check this one out for sure, and then go from there.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's just one of those guys. There's so many, especially in the 90s, you had so many gems come out. It was hard to keep up with it all, and I find he was just one of those ones that flew under the radar. Definitely worth to check out. Number 7, I'm gonna go with a newer artist, Mick Jenkins, The Patience.
Nice.
I wasn't too familiar with him. I think I heard Water, that album Water he dropped, and really liked it, but didn't go back to it a lot. This one, I don't know. I saw it and I just got the CD right away for whatever reason, and I'm not sure when it dropped, but I consistently listened to it throughout the whole time. And this album, it started at like number 10. It like ran through the whole bottom of the list, but the more I listened to it, the higher it climbed. I just loved it. I love his style. I love all the different flows that he used on it. The way he could switch from just like hardcore rapping to like very melodic on it. Sinister songs on it, like Sitting Ducks, and then to go to like Smoke Break, so it just keeps your attention on like what's gonna come next. He also has kind of like that TDE sound, I call it, that just has that flow, Freddie Gibbs, who didn't drop an album, but I found he just delivered like some of the greatest verses. He's on Show and Tell, completely kills it. Benny the Butcher's on it, Vic Mensa. It's just an album I couldn't stop listening to. Really, really enjoyed it.
Eric?
Yeah, I've been a fan of Mick Jenkins for a while, actually. Like, I think 2013, 2014, I knew about him and kind of thought he would be on this trajectory to become a bigger name in rap. Hasn't really become that, but with this album, I think kind of has been getting more recognition. I honestly think it's his best album so far, and really impressive. It's concise, like under 30 minutes, no skips for me. All the features are great, and that might have been one thing that he's been missing throughout his career is engagement with other bigger names and great rappers. Like, I don't know if we could really, like, Vic Mensa is a great rapper, but he does his thing on this album. I actually liked his music back in the day as well, but no misses in terms of the features, and like you said, good variety on here. Man, great album. Big fan. Easy to listen to.
Exactly. Very easy to listen to. I wouldn't even know who Mick Jenkins is if it wasn't for you, Eric, recommending him on the podcast. I love this album too. Great flow, great features. You guys said it all, so I'm not gonna repeat myself.
No.
I'll repeat what you guys said. So yeah, good pick, Brandon. My number 7. I never thought this album would make my top 10, but the more I listened to it, I was like, this is a fun ass album. A little chaotic, maybe not chaotic, but like a little like aggressive maybe. But I kind of like that, and I wasn't familiar with this rapper until Eric brought him to my attention last year. But I got the Rome Streets album, Noise Candy 5, for number 7.
Cool.
That back to back with Director's Cut 4, like they go hand in hand with just play them one after another when I'm doing chores around the house, workout, anytime I have my like AirPods in. Those are my go-to albums because they're just like, they just make me smile basically. And this is my longest album on the list, but like, the quality's there in my opinion. And Rome Streets, I love his flow and style. Like I'm a fan of his now. Him and Ransom were the 2 big discoveries for me from last year, Eric, and they're both on my list this year. So yeah, Noise Candy 5 for my number 7.
I'll just say, love to see it. Rome Streets, me too. He's like a recent rapper I discovered as well. Big fan. Like I think, like you said, he has a great presence on the. I like his voice, flow, everything. Sick album for sure, and I think it flows really nicely. In my opinion, no skips again. 14 songs, but I mess with them all. And there's some like catchy stuff on there too, like Shake and Bake. I thought was a solid banger. Even like Held Backwards, the second song. Like I don't know, I love the whole album. It was a great pick.
The song with Boldy Jeans, yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that song.
That was great.
Stunna.
Yeah. No, great album, great pick. I saw it and I'm like, you know what? So it's gonna be in this podcast. I gotta check it out. Like I just knew it. But yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed it. Just great pick. You guys said it all.
Thanks.
So number 7 for me. Now I'm looking at this in Apple Music and it's not even listed as hip hop. So I don't know if this is a questionable pick. It's definitely gonna be the most different one we have on here. But this guy did come on to the scene as a rapper. I'm throwing it up here. I don't even care. I'm going Austin by Post Malone. That was my 7th album of the year.
Oh, okay.
So I messed with this album big time. I thought it's a great vibe, like kind of like darker vibes and maybe some sad boy vibes at times. Mixed in with like some. Post is known for his genre blending, so I'm not really surprised that it's not labeled as hip hop. Honestly, he is a pop star. It makes sense. That didn't even cross my mind until now that it wouldn't be considered rap, but it is in my books. And I think it's a powerful album from Post. He went no features on this one. Coming off his last 2 albums, I really didn't enjoy at all. Like, they had good songs on them, but overall was not a fan. In my books, big step down from his first 2 that I do love, Stoney and Beer Bongs and Bentleys. But this one, returned to form, a lot of catchy songs. And it was kind of like the vibe for a bit of my summer as well. So I've associated some good memories, like going to Akron with my cousins, a road trip. We were bumping that a lot. So it just sticks with me. And there's a lot of songs that I've consistently gone back to. And even when I play it from start to finish, while there might be some repetition, it's steady, like maybe not too many risks are taken. I don't care. Great vibe. Great album to drive around to as well. Like Matt out in the country, I feel like this would just be right in your wheelhouse. You'd mess with this. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. But Austin, Post Malone, number 7 for me.
Nice.
No. Go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was gonna say I haven't checked it out.
Okay.
Sorry.
Me neither, Eric. I will though. I'm a fan of Post Malone.
Yeah.
I love Stoney, so if you're saying it's return to form, I will check it out. So that's great to see it on the list.
It's definitely a return to form for sure. So it's like I said, my most different pick out of everything on my list. Had to have it on there, and it's sandwiched in between some hardcore rap in Hall & Nash 2, and now my 6th pick, which actually features one of the artists on Hall & Nash 2. So that would be Special Machinery by Conway the Machine yet again, and 38 Spesh. That's my number 6 pick. Album I was looking forward to as soon as it was announced early in 2023, when 38 said that he had an album with Conway. Right away, I was like, all right, this is one to look out for. These two are beasts. Whenever they collaborate, it's always fire. And this did not disappoint at all in my books. It's one I've gone back to a lot of times. No skips, short album, all fire. And in my books, I'm a big Conway guy. Like, I've been a fan of his for years. 38 Special steals the show. His rapping is second to very few in the game these days, in my opinion. His punchlines, the double entendres, just absolutely killer. And yeah, I would definitely recommend, if you want an intro to either of these artists, Special Machinery, great place to start. That's my number 6 pick.
Great pick. Great album. Conway really killed this year. The past year, 2023.
Yep.
He also had another solo album. But yeah, I really enjoyed the 38 Special one. Didn't make the list, but barely. It was part of that 15 to 16 that should make every list.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a great album too. Would have probably made my top 15. It was the ones that where I was considering for the bottom 5. So, yeah, great pick, Eric.
No, thank you.
I guess I'm going next. We've already talked about this album, guys. Number 6, I have Magic 3 by Nas.
Nice.
We've already said, I'm just going to add that, Nas is maybe one of the best working in the game right now. And I don't know, everybody knows Nas. He's a freaking legend. Yeah, Magic 3, number 6. We don't have to, we can just gloss over that one and go to your next pick, Brandon.
Okay. Great pick, though. Great pick. Love that album.
Thanks.
As we said. And we'll gloss over it again later on. Number 6, I'll go Sky Zoo. Another collaboration album with the other guys who I've never heard of. I think they're out of the UK. With The Mind of a Saint.
Yeah.
Loved it. When I heard he was making this album, it's all through the lead character from Snowfall, Franklin Saint. I didn't really know how much I was really going to be feeling it. But man, it's just incredible. Sky Zoo, one of my favorite rappers out right now. He just brings us right to the 80s with it. I love the instrumental. I love the heavy jazz influence with it. Songs even Panthers and Power, shows us how influential they were to the community back then, and also how detrimental it was when they got taken away. And a lot of people that were part of it ended up turned to drugs or turned to selling drugs. It's also a story of Chance, how he's hanging out with his rich friends. Everybody's too scared to go pick up the drugs, cocaine. So he's the one that's elected to do it and ends up becoming a drug kingpin after. Favorite song from it is probably Straight Drop. Has that famous Beastie Boys drop that the Far Side had used before. But yeah, it's just, Sky Zoo, he never disappoints. He's always lyrically one of the best. I'm really looking forward to the deluxe version since that last season of Snowfall dropped after this album came out. And honestly, this album got me into Snowfall. I heard about it, but after listening to it, I'm like, man, I really, really got to check it out. And yeah, just one of my favorites.
I thought this was a great album too, Brandon. I know Sky Zoo because you introduced him to me when we met basically, and he's been on your list every year almost. And
yeah.
I thought the 10 track album here flows beautifully. I've listened to this one a lot. It was great. Yeah, really solid album. Eric?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Matt in that I had no idea who Sky Zoo was until maybe a few years ago. We did our episode there in 2021, All the Brilliant Things there, if I recall.
Oh, right.
And
yeah.
I've always been on the lookout for him to drop music. Whenever he does, I'll check it out since then. And I enjoyed this quite a bit. It dropped at the start of the year, January 13th. And I remember it kind of threw me off for the first listen. I'm like, all right, like you, I don't really know Snowfall. There's skits in there and a bit of different stuff. But Sky Zoo has a great presence that you're kind of he hooks you in to the world that he's rapping about based on he sounds legit. He knows what he's talking about. He has a good, like I said, a good presence on the mic. So, and I actually didn't listen to it for months after that, but I went back to it and doing the re-listen in thinking that it might make your list, and I really, really enjoyed it on the last listen. So maybe it's one I didn't really spin enough in 2023, but solid stuff, and looking out for maybe the deluxe edition or a next concept album, whatever he does, always good stuff.
Yeah. Nice. I'll hit number 5. So this was really, the top five is always the hardest. Like what goes, what doesn't. But I'm gonna go back underground. Just I don't know. This album blew me away. It's Beneficence and the Jazz Spastics Summer Night Sessions. Just I don't know. It's like pure boom bap. You could take this album and drop it in the middle of the '90s, and it would fit perfectly, and it would be just as good. Another collaboration, the theme of the year. But yeah, the beats are just amazing. You know, I found the way hip hop's been going, it's like almost like the bass has been taken out of hip hop. Like you don't get that heavy hidden bass anymore, and this really brings it back. It feels like the Jazz Spastics probably listened to Pete Rock their whole life, because it's just such, you can hear that influence. It's got a wide array of features. You know, you have the Canadian legends, Dr. Trees, underground guys like A1, Doodlebug from the Diggable Planet, Sky Zoo is on there, J Live, Elda Sensei. So it really just flows amazing. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those albums I could not stop listening to. It's very nostalgic and just amazing.
Nice. I mean, who can forget Beneficence and Consequences, iconic album? I think Matt put you on to Beneficence, right, Brandon? So good. Yeah. You love to see that full circle. I'm not really familiar with his music, honestly, so I have not checked this one out, but I'll give this a spin for sure. Matt, did you check this one out?
No, I did not. And
That's your guy.
Exactly. I just remember as soon as you said his name, I was like, shit. And I bet you it sounds just like old school, like the last album. So
exactly,
I'm gonna have to check this out. Honestly, I should have done more research on like into the underground stuff. Basically, I was very commercial this year, and like the stuff I didn't deep dive. Which I'm kicking myself. Like I honestly should have messaged you, Brandon. Like, give me your total list, and like I'll check everything. Like, but then that would have been a spoiler. No. Yeah. Anyways, no, I did not check it out. Okay, number 5, an album that has not been mentioned yet, and maybe it doesn't get mentioned. I don't know. But number 5, I have Prosper by King Crooked and Joel Ortiz.
Oh,
really dug this album a lot, actually. 10 songs. The more I listen to it, the more I love it. Yeah, it's like super easy to listen to. Joel Ortiz, he had an album last year that I really liked, and this year I paid attention to him. And Prosper, I freaking loved. Just like his style, I like his flow, how he like spits out lyrics. And with King Crooked, it was even like. They've done albums before, so yeah. Maybe Brandon, you can. I don't know. Have you checked it out, Brandon?
Oh yeah, I loved it. To me, that was like the 2 best from Slaughterhouse. So whenever I love that they came back together as a duo. I feel like I didn't like give it enough listens, but I loved as much as I listened to it. It kind of one of those albums that got lost in the shuffle.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm probably gonna put it on right after this. But yeah, incredible pick. Such a good album.
It's a no for me. I have not checked this out. Like, obviously know of both Joel Ortiz and King Crooked, but the only album I listened to by Joel Ortiz this year was I forget the name, Signature, I think, with L'Orange as the producer. So these guys do put out a lot of music. I feel like it's tough to keep up, especially because there are certain artists that, like a Conway, for example, I think he dropped like 8 albums in 2023. There are those that like those guys like I'll always, because there's only a certain amount of guys that you can really keep up with who are dropping constant material. And like I said, I listened to the one Joel Ortiz, but it was good, but not someone that I like always will check out, you know. So that's a miss by me. So I'll throw this one on as well because the album was good with L'Orange. So good pick, Matt.
Thank you.
Number 5 for me too. Same thing, hasn't been mentioned, and was one that dropped early in the year. I was looking forward to. It's actually the second appearance by an artist or a producer that I've mentioned, The Alchemist. So he did a collaboration album with this artist that I just found out about 2022, maybe 2021, Larry June, called The Great Escape. So this is this guy Larry June. I kind of found out about him through a rapper called Currency that he was featured on a few of his songs. And Currency is a super laid back, Well, if we're talking about someone who drops albums left and right. This guy went a full year almost in 2013 or 15, 16, dropping an album every month. Like, he's just constantly putting out material. And he's very laid back, cool, kind of underground, but a bit mainstream too. And Larry June is kind of like that as well. Very laid back flow, monotone. He reminds me of Boldy James in a sense. So maybe that's why I have him in the top 5. But just super cool. And what he raps about is a bit different in that he's really big on like self-help and like invest in yourself, be the best version of yourself. I'm pretty sure this guy doesn't drink either. Like, he's really big on health and promoting healthy habits and stuff like that. But also raps about like luxury and his prosperous life. I'm just a big fan, especially this one. I think it's one of his best albums that I've heard of him, anyways, because of the Alchemist production. Like, whenever Alchemist decides to do a full album with someone, you know he's giving them the tools to succeed, and it's on them now to not drop the ball. And Larry June definitely did it on here. He has some dope melodies where he's like singing at times, mixing it up with some slower songs, rapping fast, good features. Love this album. I don't know if you guys checked it out, but it was one of my favorites of the year. Pretty consistently went back to it. I knew it was going to be on the list. It was just a matter of where. And based on how much I listened to it, I'm like, I have to throw it up in the top 5. So, Great Escape, Larry June, The Alchemist.
Incredible album. Sorry.
No, I haven't checked it out, so you go ahead, Brandon.
I'm sorry. It was on my list until like the last minute, basically. I loved it. Great comparison to Boldy James. But what I like about him is that even though he has that monotone flow, like you said, he switches it up. Like with the voice, you know, like he will switch up his flows, make it more interesting. You really said it perfectly. It's my favorite album I heard from him, and it was on repeat a lot this year. Great pick.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. So my next one, number 4, which is actually one that I had as high as number 1 when the year was looking maybe a bit bleak in that there just wasn't anything that was really sticking with me. And this one I ran a lot in the early months of the year, like maybe the first half of the year before the second half kicked in, and that's where like my number 1 and others came in. So it'd be one that's actually already been mentioned, Matt. I'm glad you threw it up as your number 9. So it'd be Art of Words by Graph and 38 Special. Really, really love this album. Like I said, it came out of nowhere in my books. I was really impressed. Start to finish, I think it just flows nicely. Good beats, good rapping. I don't have much else to say on it that hasn't already been said. But if you haven't heard of this, I would check it out. And now Graph is going to be someone that I look forward to their next releases. And 38 Special, obviously, I'm always checking out. So, yeah, it's my number 4 pick.
Nice.
Awesome to see, Eric. I didn't know it would be this high on your list, but I'm glad, man. It's, like I said, I added it at the last minute because it needed to be on my top 10. It's a great album.
I'll be definitely checking it out.
Okay.
Really slept on it.
All right. I've slept on so much too. Okay, I'm at 4. We've already talked about this album. Number 4 for me is The Mind of a Saint by Sky Zoo.
Nice.
I made sure to re-listen to it in December again and like refresh it, and it had to be in my top 5. I love honestly my top 4 could all be my number 1. I love all these albums, but yeah, The Mind of a Saint, freaking excellent stuff. Thank you, Brandon, for introducing Sky Zoo to both of us, actually. So, yeah, Mind of a Saint, number 4.
Nice. Glad to see it. And one thing, so with the streaming nowadays, you get it right away. But one of the nice things I do like with getting the physical copies is that I think he released it like 3 or 4 months after it dropped. So it's almost like I always got to grab it. So it's almost like rediscovering the album. And, just such a great pick.
Nice.
So I'll go with number 4. I did cheat a bit. Don't shoot me. I did Nas, we mentioned, but I put Magic 2 and 3 together.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, I cheated a little. But the reason why I did it really is they were like neck and neck. I had them 4 and 5, and I couldn't decide which one I liked better. We talked a lot about number 3, so I'll just go to number 2. I felt that it was really underrated. I think it kind of dropped, and even myself, I didn't really check it out as much as I would with any Nas release, or even as with number 3. But once again, the physical came in. I started listening, and man, I love it. I love how it opens up with Abracadabra. He just switches up the flow, almost has a new style flow on it, you know, with the what the new Guns are doing, the new Young Guns. I love that he brought 50 Cent back out. I know people were kind of hating on the short verse, but I thought it was dope. You know, I got to see 50 Cent in concert this year as a little sidebar, and he just completely tore it down, and he brought that same energy on the mic. Bokeem Woodbine, Irvin Magic Johnson, some of my favorite songs on there. And I love that he's given flowers, even though everybody knows Magic Johnson. I think because of the whole history of what happened with him, we do overlook him, and he doesn't really get as much shine as he should. So I love that he did that. Yeah, no, I'll stick with number 2 since we already talked about it. Even a song like Motion. When I first heard it, I'm like, what is this? Like, I'm not a big... But the more I listened to it, one day I saw my wife bobbing her head to it. So I'm like, I gotta, like, listen to this a little more. And it really... I started loving that song more. Yeah, I think it's something that is just a great, great album. A little bit overlooked for him.
Nice.
I almost did what you did, Brandon, and include Magic 2 and 3 as like one pick, but I'm like, no, I can't cheat like that. I'll just mention Pistols on your album cover. Great song too. I love that song.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite song on it.
Right? It's amazing. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Anyways, Eric, what do you think of Magic?
No, Matt, love that. Just man of honor. Like, I'm not going to cheat like that. I respect the hell out of that. But no, great. I actually love to see that, Brandon, because I kind of figured you'd have both these like on your list somewhere. So I kind of like they're just taking up one spot. Now there's a definitely element of surprise for me. Like, I don't really know where you're going to go with your top 3. So I love to see it. I guess we're doing 11 albums now. So I'll just I'll just say really quickly. I was in between, and this I doubt is on your guys' list there, but Ray Schremer did their 4th album together. I had it, like, that was my 10 between Magic 3, but just because of how much I ran back to a lot of catchy songs. So just want to shout them out real quick. But no, Magic 2, like I said earlier, I think it's one that I didn't, like, I listened to it first, but then kind of, I was like debating if I had Nas fatigue, but all the songs you just listed I actually really enjoy a lot. So it is a great album. I don't have a bad thing to say about Magic 2, honestly. And I imagine that, like, on the physical, like the intro, like that beat that doesn't really have any rapping on it, there's a nice, like, the needle drops, you get the dusty, like, vinyl crack, and then like the sound that's on the intro. I feel like it's a cool way to open the album too. So, and he goes hard in like Abracadabra, Black Magic, good stuff.
Yeah, Black Magic is another one. Yeah, just a very dope album, and another short and sweet one. But I'll go to number 3. Probably my biggest regret from last year's list was not putting this on it, their first one. But Paul Wall and Terminology, start, finish, repeat. They came back. To me, it's a better album than the first one from last year, which I didn't think was possible. The chemistry between them are great. You have like the rapid flow of Terminology with the slow flow of Paul Wall. The producers, it's like an all-star list of producers. Static Selecta, Large Professor, Diamond D, Buck Wild. It's just like the 90s superstars that you could have. Last year, Recognize My Car was my favorite song for like the whole year. This year, it's Magic. Just love that song. Love that CL Smooth is from on it, you know. They brought a lot of great rappers on there too, you know. You have Bun B, Big Crit was a bit of a surprise to see on there. Love Big Crit. Eazy again. Yeah, I wouldn't be upset if they released an album every year. Just incredible.
Yeah, I didn't check this
really
one out.
it.
Oh.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't have too much to say on it. Honestly, I listened to their album they dropped last year, and I enjoyed it quite a bit, but I didn't even know they dropped another one, honestly, so I'll have to run that one. But that's really all I got on it, Matt.
I really enjoyed this album too, Brandon. Would have made my extended list, but didn't make my top 10. But I really enjoyed listening to it.
Nice.
I guess my number 3, right?
Yep.
Eric, you already mentioned this album, not for your list, but you shouted it out earlier. My number 3, Signature by Joel Ortiz and L'Ange.
Nice.
That one I listened to so many times. Love it. Joel Ortiz was a big, like, revelation, I guess, to me this year. I love these two albums, and yeah, I'm gonna keep listening to this one. It was really solid, not boring at all. Like 10 songs. Again, that was the theme for me. Quick stuff, I can listen to it all before I get to work when I leave home. So yeah, loved it. Signature.
Nice. Great album. L'Orange, it's actually a remix of his album from the year before, Autograph. But like L'Orange, he's so great, and he brought such a different like beat flavor to it. It feels like a brand new album, and I prefer it over Autograph. Great pick.
Nice. Yeah, I checked it out based on you, Matt. You recommended it on one of our episodes there, and really enjoyed it. Joel Ortiz has a great flow and good lyricism there, so he's always a good, maybe someone to add for me now. Like when he drops albums, just check him out, automatic. So, great pick. But I didn't listen to it all that much this year, so not really familiar with the songs that much, but enjoyed it from what I recall. So, nice. Top 3 now have all been mentioned for me, so I'll just start rattling them off, but still go in depth a bit there. So number 3, one that kept climbing for me as the year went on. I had a strong feeling it would make my list, but didn't know where it would stop. So that'd be Mick Jenkins' The Patience, number 3 album for me. Just because of, like I said, how compared to all of his other albums, this one's so concise, no skips. He really found a good way to kind of ditch the preachiness of his previous records, where he was really big on, like you mentioned, water, Brandon. Like that was a big thing of his, was like drink more water. Maybe getting even religious on certain songs. Like, I didn't really love all that back in the day. So this, like, he was just rapping on here, and a good little variety in there as well, where he's like getting aggressive and then slowing it down on another track. So no, really fun, good album, and very happy to see Mick Jenkins get a bit more recognition on the mainstream hip-hop, not radio there, but like just Twitter sphere. People are talking about this album a lot, so happy to see him get his shine.
Nice. Great pick. And like you said, it is the more I listen to it, the more I'm just like, this is great. This album's great. I've heard him before, but nothing really caught me where I would repeat it, where this one was, since it dropped, it was just always in the playlist.
Yep.
Great pick.
Yeah, this album, the more I listened to it, it went from like great to amazing for me. Like this album is, it's not... Nice. More to come, maybe.
Let's go. Love to hear that. So now I'm going to just grow. Number 2 with Patience, and this could have been flipped, honestly. Like they're coin flip for what was number 2, what was number 3. But I just got to give the slight razor thin edge to my guy, Rome Street's Noise Candy 5. That'd be my number 2 album of the year. Like I've been, since this guy came onto the scene for me, I've been a really big fan of everything he does, honestly. Like his lyricism, elite in my books. And the stories he's rapping about, like I truly believe he's been in those situations, those dicey, even like dice game situations, back alleys, just craziness that I hope to God I'm never a part of. And I can only just listen comfortably from my office walls and in my earbuds. So love this album. Like I said, it flows nicely, no skips for me, good features. You got like we've already mentioned, Boldy James, Currency was on here, Joey Badass, a few other people that I wasn't really familiar with, but they all did their thing. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. It was just enjoyable listen from the start for me, and it also got better as I kept listening to it. I didn't really anticipate that it'd end up this high on my list, but compared to everything else, I'm like, you know what? Every time I throw this on, I'm just vibing. I can work out to this music, even, well, not work, but work out for sure. Just any setting, it just did it for me. So Noise Candy 5, Rome Streets. Looking forward to seeing what he drops this year as well. Like the guy's pretty prolific and tends to drop a couple albums per year, so someone to look out for sure.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, awesome, Eric. Yeah, you kind of downplayed how much you liked it when I said it. I like that. Like I'm glad to see it on there. That's what you said. So that's awesome. You surprised me.
Matt, you should know this. I am an accredited actor. You know, so
you're right. It's true. number 2 for me, we just talked about it. It's The Patience.
Nice.
Number 2. Like I said, my top 4 could be my number 1. Like this could have been my number 1. It's amazing. The songs 2, 3, and 4, you got like Show and Tell, Sitting Ducks, and Smoke Break Dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those 3 songs like hit like hard, like back. Like that sequence is amazing.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. We've talked about it. Great album. We have it on all our lists. So good stuff.
I feel like I should have been higher on my list now.
Number 7.
No, it was great. Great album. Like you said, sequencing is just incredible on it. So I'll go to my number 2. It was mentioned before too. Black Thought, Glorious Game.
Nice.
We talked a lot about it. I won't go too much into it, but I do feel that he got like the most personal that we've ever heard Black Thought get on this album. Maybe that's because he was working on his biography with it. But yeah, I just love it. And for Michelle's Affair, I'm not sure Michelle's Affair. They're like a band, so it is pretty cool to see the Roots hook up with another band. They did like a revised instrumental version of 36 Chambers. I think it's called the 37th Chamber from Wu-Tang, which is like really worth it to check out. And I really only heard about that after this album, so very happy for that. But yeah, I won't get too much into it. We all know how great it is. Yep.
So yeah, number 1. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure what your guys' picks are for number 1. Like I have a guess maybe, but I'm not confident.
I'm wondering if we're all on the same page. I'm not sure. But I'll hit you with my number 1. Killer Mike, Michael.
Oh, yeah. I knew it.
That's what I was thinking, to be honest.
Yeah,
I knew you liked it.
I'm wondering. I'm like, no one mentioned it so far. I'm wondering, is it all? But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, as soon as I heard it, I knew it was gonna be my number 1 album. Hearing a song like Motherless, which could literally bring you to tears. He did a live performance of it where the tears are streaming down his face. Just powerful. Slummer, just one of my favorite songs on that album. He details his teenage love, getting his girlfriend pregnant, wanting the baby, her mother, getting him to give the money for the abortion. Now he regrets telling all his friends. He has a line in there where he says, I guess they call it adolescence because we learn in adult lessons, which I just really, really hits home and, gets the coveted Andre 3000 verse. Yep. And I still think Killer Mike outshines him on it, scientists and engineers. I don't know. He just, 2 days shows that he could still rip apart a mic. I love the whole gospel feel of the album. Killer Mike is at his best when he's preaching and, and he really feels like he's taking you to church. He had a whole rollout of this album where he performed it in churches all across the U.S., which I thought was so fitting. I think even one in the U.K. There's so much I could say about it. Down by Law with CeeLo. Like, it's just front to back. It's incredible. I think it deserves to win the Grammy. Even over King's Disease 3, which is almost blasphemy for me, but I do believe it. He just, he even made this album himself. He funded it himself. Like, it's a labor of love. I love it. Love it, album.
Yeah.
Wow. I knew you loved this album and should have known it was your number 1, but no, this would have made it's like my 11th or 12th one. It was between that and Glorious Game, and I think I like the beats on Glorious Game more. I don't know. Michael was solid. I listened to their day actually on Friday. Good stuff. And then good album. Eric?
Yeah, I loved Michael as well. Amazing album. It opens with a bang. Down by Law is just guys going in like, all right, like we're in for one here, and he's just snapping. And I think he found a nice balance of like those hard rap songs and then like you said, the preaching. Like that's what he's known for. He can get like the gospel going and very eloquent on the mic, right? Like he's a great speaker and orator. Really impressive guy to begin with. Like everything he does in the community, like his activism and political presence. And I'm a big fan of Killer Mike. Like I've really tuned into his music more through Run the Jewels than his own solo material, but loved this album. One of the best of the year, no doubt. Just flows really nicely. I don't know, you said it really well, and definitely one to, like you said, I hope, I'm not sure what the exact competition is for the Grammy, but I would love to see him win as well over like Drake and 21 Savage. I think they're there. Like, I don't think that'd be a little disappointing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, my number one's no surprise. It's anticlimactic. I said I wouldn't cheat by separating Magic 2 and 3, and I haven't mentioned Magic 2 yet, so my number one's Magic 2.
Nice.
For the simple reason that this song dropped in July, like in the summer. I listened to it like almost every day in the summer, cutting the grass, doing my workouts. I was bumping to this album. It's the album I know the most from 2023. Like, I know each song very well. And they're all great in my opinion. Brandon, you said it. What you said about it, I was like, yes, that's exactly how I feel. Starting off with Abracadabra, like, gets you right into it. Yeah, I love Bokeem Woodbine. Super underrated actor, by the way. He's amazing in Fargo season 2.
Yep.
Amazing in that season. Great actor, great song, great album. Maybe not like the most artsy or like stylistic album ever. Like, maybe Mind of a Saint or The Patience are like just found fundamentally better albums. But I mean, Magic 2 is my favorite personally, so listen to it the most. That's why it's number one. Magic 2, Nas, the greatest living rapper at the moment, in my opinion.
Nice.
Agree 100%.
Nice. Yeah, great pick, Matt. I don't know. I guess it slipped my mind that would be yours. I thought Michael for one of you, if not both. Honestly, that's where kind of I was thinking. But nice, good pick. And it also fits the narrative as well for you, Matt. Like, shorter albums, like very concise. Honestly, like, these last two Nas albums have been like under 40 minutes at the very least, and good, amazing stuff from Nas. So good stuff. So mine actually, once again, just outright lied. My album has not been mentioned so far. Maybe wanted to steer you down a path of thinking it was maybe Glorious Game, but it did not make my list. So I'll just say what it is. So for me, hands down, when this dropped, I was like, all right, this is solid. Then kept listening to it. I'm like, all right, that's my number one. That's what you got to beat. It's top 10. It's also favorite albums of the year. Me, it's Utopia, Travis Scott. No questions asked. Nothing really came close to taking it down for me based on how much I listened to it and how much I enjoyed it. Because also, I'm a huge Travis Scott guy. Been a fan of his music for years. This one had been 5 years in between his last solo album, Astroworld. And he went through a lot of personal stuff with them. Well, first, just like him growing up as a person, becoming a father of two, his relationship with Kylie Jenner, and then obviously the tragedy that happened at his festival, Astro Fest. So that kind of derailed where his career is kind of going, and obviously rightfully so, because that's an unspeakable and very tragic incident that happened. Like, but he was gearing up to release his music, and then took years off because that when something like that happens, you can't just get back into the stream of like regularly scheduled programming. And in my opinion, he really came back with a banger of an album. He did address what happened then and delivered, in my opinion, one of his best verses ever on My Eyes. The second half of that song, he's just rapping for like what feels like 2 minutes straight. I don't think it's that long there, but he's just going and addressing what happened, like what he would do to save him a child. Anyways, it's very intense. But overall, the vibe of the album, I just really mess with. It's a long album, like 19 songs. But for me, it flows. Like, there's maybe one song I'll kind of skip, Parasail. But overall, it vibes for me. Like, first 12 songs, bangers. Then you got Parasail, but then Schizo right away with Young Thug. There's like 3-4 beat switches in that. For me, it's just catchy the whole way through. And even the songs that are pretty disliked by people, I still mess with them. Like K-Pop, that was released as a single. In the flow of the album, it works well for me. And then it ends off very like amazingly. Till Further Notice, eerie, like haunting beat. Just a big fan. Utopia, could talk about this for a while, but I mean, I feel like I've said a lot already. So that's my number one pick of the year. And yeah, like I said, it was unanimous from the start.
Nice. I did check it out after your glowing reviews on it in the chat. It might be a generational thing where it's just not my style of hip hop, but I do see the artistry in it. and compared to his other work, I do appreciate what it was. No, great pick. Yeah, I think it's just a generational thing for me. And with the Astro World, it was a real shame, like complete tragedy what
Yeah.
happened. But I did find it a little funny how the artist got blamed for it. I always thought that was weird that it wasn't put on the security or the venue. Kind of became the artist's fault. That seems to be a little narrative we have going on nowadays, almost like with that whole Alec Baldwin situation and stuff, where the people that are in charge aren't being held accountable right away. It's whoever's the face of it. But no,
Right.
great pick. Great pick.
Yeah, I love that pick, Eric. I liked this album a lot, but the problem is my lack of familiarity with Travis Scott's back catalog, which I haven't deep dive on, didn't make me re-listen to this album a whole bunch of times.
Right.
So it did not make that's why I didn't consider it for my top 10. So I think I need to go back and start with the beginning with Travis, because every song you've recommended or gave me in playlists, Eric, of his, I've liked. So I think I just need to familiarize myself more with Travis's work. So yeah, good pick though.
No, thanks. No, in my books, he makes like all his albums are great in my opinion. They get like horrible reviews online for the most, like Metacritic or whatever the aggregate score for his albums are. Other than Astroworld, which is probably my least favorite of his, to be honest, they all get pretty mediocre reviews. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like the vibe isn't for everybody, but well, I know it is for a lot of people there, and for me it just hits. So. Yeah, that's it. That's the pick. So great list, everybody. I'll just do a quick recap of everybody's top 10s. So in order, I had Magic 3, Scaring the Hose, Hall and Nash 2, Austin, I'll just say artist 2, Nas, JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown, Westside Gun, Conway the Machine, Alchemist, Post Malone, 30th Spesh and Conway on Special Machinery, The Great Escape, Larry June and The Alchemist, Art of Words by Graf and 30th Spesh, The Patience, Mick Jenkins, Noise Candy 5, Rome Streets, Utopia, Travis Scott. Matt, you had Glorious Game by Black Thought and L. Michelle's Affair. So actually, I might be missing some of the artists' names here, but I'll do my best. Art of Words, Graf, 38 Spesh, Director's Cut 4, Ransom and Nick Craven, Noise Candy 5, Rome Streets, Magic 3, Nas, Prosper, Joel Ortiz, and was there someone else on there? Or?
King Crooked.
The Ill Mind of a Saint, Sky Zoo, Signature, Joel Ortiz, L'Orange, Mick Jenkins, The Patience, and then Magic 2, Nas, Hit Boy. Brandon, now this one I have no idea. Like I just have the album cover. I don't have the name of it.
Elzai and Ono, Heavy Vibrato.
Do you want to rattle these off for me, man? Because I don't have the names of the albums yet.
I'll get my list here. Yeah. So Elzai, well, I said that already. I was Cesar Face, Cesar Artificial Intelligence, AZ, Truth Be Told, Mick Jenkins, The Patience, Sky Zoo, Mind of a Saint, Beneficiaries, and Jazz Spastics, Summer Night Sessions, Nas, Magic 2 and 3, sorry for cheating, Paul Wall and Terminology, Start, Finish, Repeat, Black Thought, L, Michelle's Affairs, Glorious Game, and Killer Michael.
Yep, great stuff, guys.
Awesome.
Very powerful year again. Like a lot of variety in our list, like a few overlapping picks. I think the only one across the board was The Patience, and Magic.
Yeah, right.
Magic 3 was on everyone's list. But awesome. So yeah, if you were watching this on YouTube, you could see all the picks be made in real time, just the album covers. So it's where I wasn't able to read all of the album names, and some of them don't have the names on them. So yeah, if you were watching, you got to see all that. But no, good stuff. Now that we're already in the year, something I like to do every year there with you guys is like a look ahead kind of at the year we're in, 2024. Is there anything that's kind of on your radar that you'd like to see an artist drop an album, something that you're aware of? You guys want to share? Brandon, we can start with you.
Yeah, we got a few teasers from him. One song I really liked. The other song was obviously a push for radio. But J-Rock, he's supposed to drop his new album. So yeah, he's another one that quietly just drops incredible albums. Redemption is still like one of my favorites that I still go back to. So I really, really hope he drops this year.
Yeah, great pick. it's kind of forgotten, honestly. And a lot of I feel like, well, for me anyways, like I was a big fan of J-Rock's, but haven't listened to his music in years because he's not really done much. So I would love to see him come back with something good for sure.
I'll go next. I was doing a bit of research, and I'm looking forward to, like, if J. Cole or Benny the Butcher drop something new, that'd be really cool. Looking like it's going to happen, too, though. So those two artists I'm always excited for. But, Brandon, something you've mentioned in the past, is LL Cool J going to drop something? Because that would be cool. Is it going to happen?
That's still my number one. It's the album's apparently done. It's executive produced by Q-Tip. He had his tour, The Force, which is named after the album. So it is supposed to drop. When? I hope it's soon.
Okay.
and the Butcher is coming.
Yeah, the Butcher is coming. He's a couple of weeks from now, like January 26th is when he's supposed to. Well, I think he's gonna drop. Like it's on Apple Music. Pre-orders already available there, so I'm pumped for that album too. I actually listened to both the singles. I enjoyed them both. So everybody can't go. Pumped for that. Nice. And yeah, J. Cole, also someone I'm looking forward to seeing drop. He didn't drop an album last year. He did the year before, I think. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what he does for sure.
I think we're finally going to get the fall off.
Yeah, hopefully. Man, he's been talking about that album for years, like since like 2018, 19 or something like that. So let's see it, man. That's the thing with these artists, though, who talk about albums for years. Like, I've mentioned in the past, like, A$AP Rocky, someone I look forward to, Stove God Cooks. But it's like these guys just keep giving us false hope. Like, yo, it's 99% done. It's coming sooner than you think. And it's been years since that's been said. So I'm not even... I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing with those guys. Me, it's more like tangible. I know it's coming that I'm excited for. And I don't know if this actually falls into that category, but I just saw on Twitter, before we did this podcast, that apparently Freddie Gibbs and two-time top 10 nominee, I guess, on my list this year, The Alchemist, have material that's ready to drop at a moment's notice. So if those two guys drop another album this year, that would be crazy. That's an instant like number one contender in my books for album of the year. So would love to see that happen. Alchemist and Freddie Gibbs, who, like you said, didn't drop anything last year. So that's something I'd like to see happen this year for sure. And I'll say, I don't know if I mentioned him last year, but Schoolboy Q, I hope he comes back with an album. So to get back on the top dog wave. Like, he hasn't dropped an album since 2019. So looking forward to seeing what he's got in store.
He's I've seen him schedule 2 to drop. Once again, like, really excited. But Freddie Gibbs, Alchemist, I didn't know about that. Like, I'm like hyped for that now. That instantly like went up. I was able to go through his over the break. I just randomly just started going through his discography, and man, Freddie Gibbs is amazing.
He's a beast.
Oh, I hope it drops.
Same. So yeah, and then everything else, like the surprises, right? Like, who would have thought we'd have, like, for Matt and myself, like a Graph album, just looking like, you know, Mick Jenkins, like, and not someone I would have considered as top 10. Whenever he drops albums, I check them out, but I'm never listening to them thinking like, oh, this is gonna be one of the year's best kind of thing, you know. So you never know. That's the great thing about hip hop. Like, or just albums in general. Like, you never know what's gonna stick. And
and we already had the first surprise of the year with the Hit Boy with The Game and Big Hit. His dad dropped an album, a 9-10 track album. It's incredible.
It's good. Okay, I didn't listen to it. Like, The Game, man, like, he's so controversial these days, and like he's kind of inconsistent. Where he can be incredible in certain songs and even albums, but then he'll just throw absolute garbage out there, in my opinion, anyways. So I don't even bother with him anymore. But you're saying it's good, okay? So I'll give that a spin then.
Yeah, I loved it. It was that classic West Coast feel to it, and just Hit Boy's, I don't know, he's on another level right now. He's just completely killing the game.
Hit Boy's on a run for sure.
Have to check that out. Yeah.
Him and Alchemist, in my opinion, 2020 is like killing the producing game. Like, for albums they've done with people, nuts. Just want to give a last shout out on Alchemist. Voir Dire. Did you check this album out with Earl Sweatshirt? Alchemist Earl Sweatshirt album, Voir Dire.
No, I didn't get to check it. Okay. I've never really got into Earl Sweatshirt, but I should check it with Alchemist.
He's exactly. Like, that's the I actually almost included this on my list, but Earl, the thing with him is like his rapping is so monotone that he could be giving this like the craziest wordplay. There's just something about how he's rapping that seems like lazy that it takes away from how incredible the lyricism is. That being said, there's a lot of amazing songs on here, and the production from start to finish is next level. Like, I wish these beats maybe went to someone else, where like people love Earl Sweatshirt, but I can tolerate his music, but not like to that level where some people rank him as like he's one of the best in the game, but not really for me.
Like you said, I think it's the voice. It almost feels. You ever play like a 45 record on 33? It's like completely slow motion, slowed down. Like it has that sound to it. I gotta check it out though, just for the beats, if anything.
Yeah, the beats are nuts. Any Alchemist album, like I said, I'll most likely check it out. Because he only collaborates with artists that he believes in too, like he's friends with, so. Yep. Alrighty. Been going for a decent bit, but we did get a few listener submissions that I just want to shout out there that submitted their picks for Album of the Year. So, the first one we got was from, and I worded this as just like any album, like not just limit to hip hop, because maybe some people don't really listen to rap. So, the first one was from my buddy Will. He submitted Unreal Unearth from Hosier. I don't know how you say his name.
Hoser,
yeah. I don't know if you guys check this out. He's a big fan of Hoser and said this is a great album.
Nice.
The homie Daniel Rolok submitted Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, so the soundtrack to the movie, which I was a big fan of, honestly, like, especially in the movie. I feel like it really hits, like the song with Sway Lee, like Annihilate, in the context of the movie is fire. But I think it had a lot of great songs on there. Like Metro Boomin made them, like composed the album there, and I thought it was really good. Did you guys check this out?
Yeah, same. I mostly through the movie also, but yeah, definitely agree. It just fit it perfectly.
I gotta check out the movie, guys. So I don't know why I haven't yet.
Yeah, you gotta get on that, man.
Great
get
movie.
on that, yeah. Okay, I know everyone's told me, so okay.
The next one is from the homie Ron Antoine. He submitted no album in particular, just said Taylor Swift. So I guess he's entering his Taylor Swift era, I guess. I don't know. But just going through the back catalog, big cardigan guy, I don't know. But so that was his pick for the year. Thoughts on T-Swizzle? Anything? Or
she won the year, though.
Oh, yeah,
in
for
other
sure.
things,
Yeah.
money-wise.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Definitely. You can't blame Ron for that being his pick. So the next one was from our cousin Dylan Smith. So he submitted, well, I'll just read what he said. So he had a few picks that were not rap. So The Record by Boy Genius. And then a runner-up would be La High by Sampha. I don't know if you guys checked either of these albums out.
No.
Oh, Sampha's dope. I haven't checked it, but I am familiar with Sampha.
Yeah. So also I've only heard good things. But then his rap album was Heroes and Villain by Metro Boomin. So we go by Gregorian calendar year here, as this was released in 2022. Felt uncomfortable including this in my list. Wouldn't qualify it as a 2023 album, but I mean, that was his pick. I gave him the option to change. He doubled down on it. He's a Grammy list guy. I think that album is actually Grammy nominated, which I love. Heroes and Villains. If I were to remake my 2022 list, that dropped late in last year, 100% including it in my probably top 5, to be honest, based on how much I spun that in 2023. So I can understand the point of, like, you listen to it really in 2023, so that's where it falls. But like for me, it's not a 2023 album. Did you guys check this out? Enjoyed it? Your thoughts?
I checked it out. I did like a quick checkout. It did sound pretty good, but just not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have yet to check it out, so I'm going to get on that.
It's really good.
So yeah, thanks for the recommend.
No, it's really good stuff. And then both my cousins, Dill and Dan Deschamps, former guests, they both submitted Utopia as their favorite. And then Dan had Austin by Post Malone, honorable mention. So I'm happy to see my picks be validated by my younger cousins. So you know, that generation. You know, we're just sticking together. But I am also 7 years older than them, we'll just say. But anyways, you know, I gravitate towards that vibe of rap. But no, love that Utopia. Love to see it. So
Nice.
those were our picks, our submissions. So thank you to the listeners. I like I said, feel like I've been going for a decent amount of time. Is there yeah, I guess that'd be it really. So Brandon, as per usual, absolutely killed it on here. Gave me some new albums to check out for sure, so I'll be doing that. Yeah, any final notes for the listeners?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. You guys gave me quite a few I gotta check out and recheck. I think I glossed over. Yeah, so it's just always fun as usual. Really appreciate you guys having me on.
Good stuff. Yeah, Matt, as per usual as well, crushed it on here. Great list. Love to see a lot of my picks as well on here. Like we had a lot of similar picks, like 4 of them. So love to see that. Any and you know, I like to see the ransom pick on there. That surprised the hell out of me. So I love that. Any final notes for the listeners?
Just thank you everybody for listening. I really appreciate it. I hope you liked all of our lists. Also, Brandon, thank you for coming on. You killed it as usual. Could listen to you talk about hip hop all day because you're so passionate and knowledgeable. I love this tradition of end of the year top 10. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Hope you enjoyed your holidays, and yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, well said. So yeah, thanks a lot everybody for listening. Stay tuned for episodes dropping every 2 Mondays. Continue to just enjoy the return to work, I guess. And yeah, peace.